What's up guys, my name is Ace, and recently there were a bunch of new leaks for Battlefield 6, including a new set of field specs, or those passive perks that you earn for every one of the classes, as well as a bunch of gadgets and possibly the full list of gadgets that we'll be seeing at launch as well for each of the classes. And in today's video, I wanted to go through these and share them and share some of my thoughts as well. Now these are all coming from Battlefield Labs, keeping in mind that it's still technically a work in progress, so what we see here today could still change between now and the launch of the game. And these are all coming from Bob Network UK, keeping in mind I'm not going to be showing you any leaked images, I'm just going to be talking about them, and I have recreated some images here just to make it a little easier to follow, but these are not actual leaked images from the game itself. So without further ado, let's dive into the field specs that leaked. If you guys remember from the beta build of the game, each class has a field spec you can choose, but in the beta, we just had one field spec per class, so it's not something you could actually change, it was just something tied to your class. It turns out there's actually going to be multiple sets of these for each of the classes, and these leaks showed us a second set for each class. So with the Assault class, for instance, in the beta, we had the Frontliner field spec, which you can see on the left, whereas on the right-hand side, we have Grenadier. This is the new leaked one, and I've typed up the descriptions that we saw in the leaks. And with this, right at the beginning of the match, at level 0, we get Grenadier, which allows us to carry more grenades. Then when we charge up to level 1, we get Hardened, which gives us resistance to visual impairment effects. And level 2 is called Gadget Reload, which allows us to reload our gadgets faster. As for the active class ability that you have to charge up to, at least in this leak build, this doesn't seem to change if you change your field specs. It's consistent across both. I don't know if that's going to be the case at launch. But when it comes to Assault, they've actually changed this one a little bit. Instead of just injecting yourself with that adrenaline injector, which highlights enemy sounds and reveals nearby enemies, now that also applies to any nearby squad members when you activate it. So you still get those effects, and your squad mates that are nearby will get the same effects. However, it looks like only you will be able to extend those effects when you get kills. So every kill you get, it will extend it by 5 seconds. When it comes to your squad members, it looks like they just get it for the duration, and any kills they get are irrelevant as far as extending it. So that's Assault. Next, let's move on to Engineer. And in the beta, we had access to anti-armor, whereas with this leaked build, we also have the Combat Engineer field spec. And with this at level 0, we get Mechanic Tree, which will automatically spot nearby mines. Level 1 is Overheat Resistance, so your vehicle weapons and your repair tool will take longer to overheat. And level 2 is the Vehicle Health Plus, where the health of the vehicles you occupy is not restricted by health brackets. And then when it comes to our active ability, this appears to be exactly the same as it was in the beta, where you get Power Repair. So with this field spec, unlike Anti-Armor, which is designed more so for taking out enemy vehicles, this one's all about using vehicles as effectively as possible. Now, getting into support, in the beta we had access to Combat Medic, whereas this leak build also shows us Fire Support. And at level 0, allies can resupply themselves by interacting with you, which is different from level 0 on Combat Medic, which allows your teammates to interact with you and get health packs. This time with Fire Support, your allies will get ammo if they interact with you rather than health. Then at level 1, you get Improved Weapon Mounting, which just improves the effects of mounting your weapon. So I'm guessing something like even less recoil when mounting, for instance. And then at level 2, you get Indirect Fire, which gives you improved resupply on indirect fire gadgets. Mortars fire faster, and airburst launchers will carry more ammo. And then finally, for Recon, in the beta we had Sniper, whereas with this leaked build we also see Ranger. And at level 0, you get Silent Movement, which reduces the sound of enemy takedowns, as well as the sound you generate when you're crouched or prone. At level 1, we get Pathfinder, which will keep you hidden from motion sensors as long as you're not sprinting. And then at level 2, you get Damage Spot, where enemies that you damage will be spotted. Although it's also worth noting you still have the passive effect just being Recon, where if you aim down sight at an enemy, it will auto-spot them. So this appears to be more so for those situations where you're dealing damage to enemies without aiming down sight at them. So there we go, those are all the new field specs we learned about in this build of Battlefield Labs. Again, we might be seeing even more at launch, or some of these might change a little bit, but that's where it's at in its current state. Now let's get into all of the new gadgets that leaked, and we'll once again start this off with Assault. And the first one is something we've seen multiple times throughout trailers, and we have also seen some leaked gameplay of this. This is the Assault Ladder. And this is a gadget you can just deploy to get up to like a second floor, for instance, to get some elevation. It is worth noting, based on the leaked gameplay, if it's a very steep angle, it will be a ladder that you have to like interact with and climb like a ladder. Whereas if it's not a very steep angle, it will automatically be a ramp rather than a ladder where you can just run up it without having to put your weapon away to climb it. As for the next assault gadget that we haven't seen yet, this is the SS-26, based on the M26 mass shotgun, and this is a shotgun with incendiary shells. After that, we have the deploy beacon, which in the beta was on the Recon class, although they did confirm even before the beta came out that it would be ending up on the assault class, and we're now seeing that in this build of labs. And then on top of that, we get 3 different grenade launchers. We have the high explosive for primarily dealing with enemy infantry, the anti-vehicle grenade launcher for vehicles, and then that thermobaric launcher, which we did see in the beta. Next up, when it comes to the leaked engineer gadgets, we have the supply crate, which is a deployable pallet that will resupply and repair friendly vehicles. We have the EOD bot, which is a drone that's remotely controllable, and it has various capabilities like mine clearance, gadget disruption, and gadget deployment. After that, we have the SLM-93A launcher, which is a lock-on launcher. We have the M136AT, which is an aim-guided launcher. We have the AV mine, or anti-vehicle mine, that you can use. The MBT Law launcher, which is an auto-guided launcher. The MAS-14B, which is the Javelin. And the RPG-7, which is a free-fire launcher that we saw in the beta. And unlike the beta, they're implementing restrictions on this, so you can't use 2 of the same type of launchers on the same class at the same time. And then finally, we have one last engineer gadget, and this is the acoustic sensor AV mine, which is the one that will trigger if a vehicle comes by, and it will perform a top-down attack to strike the vehicles. Now, after that, for support gadgets, we of course have the defibrillator. We've got a smoke grenade launcher, an incendiary airburst launcher, which I'm a little nervous about, but curious to see how that one ends up playing out. We of course have the deployable cover that we saw in the beta. We have the grenade intercept system, which is like a trophy system from Call of Duty, for instance. You place it down and it will intercept grenades. We also have the portable mortar tied to support, which we talked about in a recent video. This is something you have to manually use. You use a mini-map to target, and it has infinite ammo, at least in the state of the most recent playtest that we saw leaks from. Then after that, we have the supply pouch. And then finally, we have the missile intercept system, which is like a trophy system, but for bigger projectiles like missiles. So unlike the grenade intercept system, this one's for missiles. So presumably, this won't stop grenades, just like the grenade intercept system won't stop missiles. And this finally brings us to our Recon Gadgets, and the first one is the C4 explosives, which we had access to in the beta. We've also got a Recon drone, which they describe as a combat drone armed with an electronics disruption weapon, allowing for precise elimination of hostile equipment. We have the laser designator that allows users to mark enemy targets so friendly's operating missile systems can achieve lock-on. We have the anti-personnel mine, or Claymore. We have a sniper decoy that you can set up to try to throw an enemy sniper off, for instance, so they end up shooting at the decoy rather than you, maybe giving you a chance to get a shot off on them. We have the tracer dart, which fires a magnetic dart to mark enemy vehicles for personnel to assist guided missile attacks. And then finally, we have the tripwire sensor anti-vehicle mine. And those are all of the leak gadgets that we know about so far in Battlefield 6. Like I said, there's still some time for some adjustments to be made. We don't know how recent this build is that they were recently playtesting. But overall, I am liking what I'm seeing for the most part when it comes to this. Seems like there's going to be quite a bit of variety, and also some different ways that you can approach playing with different classes. Especially with those field specs, it's kind of like you have now a subclass within the class. And I think that is going to add some nice depth to the gameplay experience. Like just that one big example, for instance, with Engineer. I think that's one of the better examples. You can go the route of Engineer and trying to take out enemy vehicles, or you can go Engineer and really try to buff yourself up while using vehicles. And I think that's great. Now, of course, these are just my thoughts on all of these leaks, and this is where I want to hear from you guys in those comments down below. How are you feeling about the leaked field specs as well as gadgets that we talked about today? Are you generally liking what you're seeing here? Are there any of these that you're kind of nervous about and think might be a problem? Just let me know all of those thoughts down below. If you enjoyed the video, a like rating is always appreciated, and don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.